What a dumb question.
It's a great way to start. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Worldhoppers. Today we are going to be chatting about Arcane, and I have a few of my friends here with me. We pretty much all loved Arcane, but thank you for the different name, Alan. Before we get into talking about the show itself, because we will be getting into spoilers and all of our praises for that, but we're going to start with just, were you already a League of Legends fan before watching the show? If you want to start, Alan, what did you say your name was now? Have you ever wondered
what it's like to brown? No, Silco. No one has ever wondered that.
I have. I think it seems awful.
Then you and Silco can hang out.
I would be okay with it. I actually kind of love his character.
I have one of my students being like, "Oh, Silco, he's so broken. I can fix him." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
Not the lesson we wanted you to take from this.
Nope.
No, I was not a League of Legends fan. I played one time back when it was not new, but like relatively new. And I'm like, "This looks cool." I played it one time, and everyone
everyone's the worst human.
Just all caps, profanity laden, and I'm like, I don't even know how to play. Why are you?
You were an even-tempered person until that day, and that is when Alan was born.
That is my villain origin story.
That's your origin.
So I never played again because no, and I didn't even know anything about it until the show came out, and my brother and literally everyone else is like, "You should watch Arcane," and so I did, and it was really good. And then I went on all the sites, and I'm like, "Oh, who's this guy? Oh my gosh, are we gonna see what's the freaking Scarecrow guy's name? Who's the Scarecrow?"
Fiddlesticks.
Yes, Fiddlesticks. Sorry. And then I watched all the trailers for the expansions or the new characters, the character trailers or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so no.
Yeah, they've kind of gone all out on that sense because so I'll just go next because I've played League of Legends forever. When did this game come out? It was 10 plus years ago. I've been playing it for a long time. I actually quit for the same reason though, that I got sick of just crazy people on the internet being really, really toxic and angry and mean. And I was like, this isn't worth my time anymore. But I came back to it because of Arcane. I didn't even know Arcane was a thing until when they were streaming whatever their event was on Twitch and showcased it, and they showed the first 2 episodes or whatever it was. And I watched the first 10 minutes of it, and I was just like, I don't care. And I turned it off. And then I saw everybody being like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And then I loved it. And then I watched it 3 times. So it's fantastic. And it got me playing League again. And now I just mute everybody that's mean to me because it's easier that way.
People are nicer now because it's reached an even bigger audience, or do you feel like not really?
So if you know anything about online gaming, it depends on what level, what rank you're at. The lower rank you are, the more toxic it is because everyone's just a bully. The higher rank you get, the less toxic it gets. But you can just mute people. So if people are mean, you just mute them, and then you just pretend that they're the nicest people in the world.
Could you just play the whole game with everybody muted? And
you can /mute all. You can mute everybody in the game. You
can just play and pretend like you're playing with bots.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
You can you never have to interact with anybody.
What?
It's great.
My name is Truth. I'm waiting for the favorite character question.
It's great, but yeah. So I was a big League fan before, and now I am again. But Arcane is better than League of Legends. It's the only video game adaptation that isn't trying to necessarily be the game, which is probably why it works, because they actually just crafted a storyline instead of just being like Resident Evil and then not Resident Evil.
But Alex, I think it's because they actually tried to be the game instead of making it some generic bull crap, which is every other adaptation.
Well, so what I mean though is they crafted a story in a smart way where they refer to the lanes, right? The lanes is a place, but the lanes is you literally fight in lanes in League of Legends. So it's they did it in a smart way, and rather than just having a tournament where everyone's just killing each other repeatedly. Is League of Legends at face value, it's a MOBA. You just attack each other. So I don't know. They did it very well, and it's one of the best adaptations I've seen in general.
Yes, it had no right to be as good
as it
was. It just there's no reason. What were you saying?
Oh, I'll just go next. My League of Legends knowledge was I saw the Arcane trailer and I was like, is that about the game where they the cars hit soccer balls into net.
Rocket League.
Yeah, Rocket League. I was like, that's really inventive. And then I realized that's
a Rocket League game would be sick.
Yeah.
Rocket League of Legends.
Rocket League of Legends.
Yeah. And then Sarah, sorry, we kind of skipped over you.
Oh, that's okay. My whole family played League. So my 2 sisters, my husband, and we all lived together around the time that it came out. So I was around a lot of people who played League, and I like Alan tried once because they were like, you can come and play, it's fun. It was not fun. It was it was scary. And
the
mean.
game is fun. It's the people that are awful.
Yes. So I did know a lot of the characters, a lot of the lore. I was immersed in it when they were all really into playing it, and they all used to play like the ranked games and stuff, but I never played it. I was excited for the show to come out though.
I think video games bring out a weird side of people because a lot of us are used to getting our rage out in video games. And then when you have people that you can't actually really see, it's hard to remember. Like, I'm always nervous that when I play Ghosts online, sorry to bring that up again, because I'm always bringing it up to Alice.
Like Vienna with First Law. I was just like, hey, by the way, I have a PS5 and I play Ghosts.
Anyway, so I'm like, I always have to check and make sure I have it set where they can't hear me talking, because on the topic of when people aren't good, oh my gosh, when I'm playing and someone sucks, I'm just like, what are you even doing here? Go back and get back. Like, I just start
Elle's toxic.
I can't imagine this.
Why are you so toxic right now?
Only when I know they can't hear me, I'm just shouting. Anyway, so I had never played League of Legends. I like video games, but and I actually had brought up League of Legends fandom. We kind of already covered it. Yeah. Do you think that it's exceptionally awful, or do you think it's just kind of on par with a lot of others?
Worse than normal online gaming.
Okay.
So I mean, if you're just considering fandom, like people that play it on a regular basis, probably the most toxic community in gaming I've ever experienced. And this is between MMOs, FPS, MOBAs, just you name it, by far. Because I think it caters to a younger audience, even young, like it skews a little bit younger than a lot of other games even. And oh my God, luckily you don't have voice comms, so you're not just getting yelled at by a bunch of 12-year-olds that are cussing at you. But boy, will people stop playing the game just to type really angry crap at you for like the entire game. And it's also like, it's really toxic in the sense that people assume that they're so good that the second that you mess up their game, they will go out of their way to ruin your entire life. Like the entire rest of the game is like, nope, I'm not even going to play. I'm just going to mess with you and ruin your day. Like, that's how petty people are.
That's hilarious.
It's bad. It's pretty bad.
They're persistent, that helps them in the game.
They are dedicated to being the worst.
How awful you are.
It'll be interesting to see how the fandom changes now that you have the show getting so popular.
It's going to run off all the people who are noobs.
You have a lot of new people that are terrible at League of Legends, probably enraging the people that still play it, basically.
Jumping into the actual show, though, there's so many different things that we can talk about. But since Alan has a #1 Caitlyn fan up, we'll go ahead and start with favorite characters and least favorite characters. And Alan,
it's because Alan desperately wants to be British.
No, Alex, I'm the most British. This is my American accent, so I can blend in. Are we just talking about our favorites and then coming back to least favorite? Because I have a top 5 least favorites.
Oh my gosh.
Prepared.
Are they all Jinx?
Just go for it.
Jinx isn't even #1.
Just go for it. Just talk whatever. We just love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, here are the top 5 least characters, and then we'll polish it off with favorites. Top 5 least characters coming in at the number 5 slot. Iron Jaw, top knot Asian gangster who does nothing but get poisoned and then murked by Silco or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he gets killed by Silco's sword.
Yeah, she like chops. Yeah, she makes it seem like she's gonna get Silco, and she kills him because loyalty to Silco.
Yes, there you go. Number 4, Kit Cloudkicker from the cartoon Disney afternoon show Tailspin, aka Echo. I don't like his airfoil that he.
This is your first hot take, Alan.
going.
Oh, I like
Don't
him.
like that. 3, Marcus. Useless. You suck, Marcus, and you deserve everything that happened to you. Number 2, hot take. Go ahead, send your angry emails to www.idon'tcare.com. Jinx. It is. Explain something to me.
Do you think she's a good character though?
Is this gonna be like a Felicen thing all over again?
Like a well-written character, or do you just hate her?
Okay, listen. Linda,
I'm
listen.
listening.
She watches her friends get killed in Silco's warehouse, right? Like I get that Vi hits her. I understand. Vi hits her and she flips out. Vander didn't do anything to her. Like Vander didn't do anything to her but take her in. Vander's done nothing to her. She sees Silco kill Vander, or even if she doesn't, she knows that Silco's in there and she knows that Silco is responsible. 2, even afterwards, she's working with Silco, who is drugging up the lanes, right? Like Vander has tried to stop that stuff. So she's crapping on the legacy of her adopted dad, who tried to make it safe down there instead of, mob boss running crap. And she forsakes all of this because Vi was mean to her and hit her once. And so she's going to work with Silco? Like, I understand you're mad at Vi, but you're going to work with the guy you saw kill everybody? That doesn't make any sense. And I don't like the whole, I don't like her hashtag damaged thing. Like oh my gosh, like who's it going to be? Like, it's like, what are you talking about? What do you want? She didn't abandon you. You walked away, Jinx. Like, you ran away. You got mad because she hit you. Then anyway, and
she didn't just run away though. Like Vi told her to get out because she had just murdered her friends. Vi was.
So why is she mad at Vi over Silco when she wouldn't have murdered her friends on accident if Silco
I remember
hadn't in the
us talking about this, and because Alex, I think, has watched it the most, I don't actually know, because I know when she threw that thing in and there was the explosion.
The grenade, yeah.
That I don't know if she saw everything that happened.
She didn't.
Yes, but she still knows why they were in that warehouse.
Because she kept trying to, because she wanted to be helpful, and Vi kept telling her to stay away, and then she finally got the grenades to work. So she took one there and was like, "I'm going to save everybody," and then killed everybody. And Vi was just like, "You're actually the worst. Like, why can't you do anything right?"
I mean, Jinx is an okay character. She's just, I just don't like that character. It's just. Why does her Hot Topic crop top protect her from a bomb she's holding in her hand when it kills people who are in power armor?
Because it's a cartoon.
But the show can't decide if it's an anime or a serious drama. Like, if it's an anime, that's fine. Like, you can have your head cut off and still fight for, 2 hours. But if it's a serious drama, then if people can die from getting... Like, Silco stabbed one time and dies. He had a building fall on him earlier.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he dies with a bullet wound to his chest.
You know what? I'd rather watch an entire series about Jinx if this person at number 1 I never had to see again. And the number 1 spot easily, Jace.
Yes.
The most useless character in the entire show.
I agree.
He ages by developing a 5 o'clock shadow. That is the only sign he has aged. He has no opinion other than the opinion of the person nearest to him speaking to him. That is his opinion at the time. He has no opinions of his own. Stupid hammer. Jace, everyone.
He sounds like some politicians that we're all familiar with. Go ahead, Al.
I love that in the Honest trailer because it's exactly what he is. They call him a himbo. I'm like, yes, that's the perfect way to describe Jace. I hate Jace.
He also boots Heimerdinger out of there, which is just mean.
That's when I was like, no. You are on.
Heimer with his little sad puppy eyes was just like,
that's the saddest part.
My brother, who's played the game, Jinx is his main, so he argues with me about Jinx all the time.
That's because Jinx is an awesome character in game.
Yeah. But he says that no one liked Heimerdinger in the game. Like, Heimerdinger's useless in the game. And then the show made everybody like Heimerdinger.
No one likes Heimerdinger. No one.
Anyway, so that's my rant. I don't like Jinx. I really don't. I don't like Marcus, Jinx, and
Marcus does suck. Marcus sucks. Because he's that guard that thinks he's better than everybody and then just dies.
So are we talking? So still talking about least favorites, and then I can say my favorite in a minute.
Sure. We'll go least favorites, and then we'll come back to favorites.
I mean, how do you even follow that up? I mean,
with a reasonable opinion instead of like the intense one.
Well, so I don't dislike Jinx. I actually love Jinx, but it's because she's a fun character, and I like seeing her fighting back with Vi. Like, that's just a good storyline and dynamic. I don't hate Echo because he's not in it that much. Like, I don't know. Echo seems like a weird one to hate. I definitely didn't like Marcus.
Echo reminds me of Kit from Tailspin, and I hated Kit.
So you have some past trauma there, I guess. Yes. Jace is the worst because, I mean, you just named it, right? He doesn't really seem to stand for a whole lot.
Nothing.
He just kind of like, yeah, whoever has his ear at the time forms his opinion. There's just much better and strategic people. Singed is obviously awful. He's interesting, but he's also like the reason that Jinx is even more insane now because Silco had him experiment on her. So I mean, those would probably be mine. Realistically, I don't know, because for me, it's like a lot of the characters that are bad are fun or interesting. Mm-hmm. So the two like characters that I'm just like, all right, fine, just kill him is Joff. Finn is his name. the Asian dude with the jaw metal, because he's just like a useless villain just there to die. He was never a threat. And then Marcus, because Marcus just sucks. That's probably those two.
Don't forget
Marcus
about
and Finn.
Mel's mom, weird creepy lady who talks naked to people.
Yes.
Yeah, she's pretty weird. She has a little boy toy.
I will say though, when she was introduced, that was when I first thought, okay, this is gonna get a lot bigger. At least to me, because I wasn't familiar with League of Legends at all. Yeah. So while we were watching it, we weren't sure if it was just going to be this one season or what they were going to do with it. But when they introduced her, oh my gosh, I don't know if you just heard our dog. Anyway, when they introduced her, I thought this story is already so good, but it has potential to get so much bigger, which is exciting, I think. It kind of
represents Noxus, and there's a whole bunch of characters from there. So
it
a lot of potential
characters. Like Game of Thrones, when you start getting people from different like countries or things like that, and you're like, oh, okay.
You leave Westeros and you start getting Essos, and you're like, oh, here's Dorne, and here's all these people. Yeah.
Anyway, Sarah, your least favorite.
I mean, Jace, like everybody else, because he is objectively the worst. Is there anybody who likes Jace? There must be somewhere out there in the world.
Let's see, Elle, if like the Jace like fanboys and girls like.
There's some like 14-year-old boys that are like, hell yeah.
Well, there was. I will say when I did my review on my channel, somebody said they like Jace because they feel like he's just a normal guy who's like in the middle of this situation. He's like
power hungry,
and they're like,
he doesn't stand for anything.
This one person was like, I just feel like he did all the things I probably would have done because I wouldn't have known what to do. And I'm like, oh, maybe we all hate him because he's actually us.
The everyman of Arcane. Mel's mom, every time she was on the screen, I was intensely uncomfortable. It's like this. Oh yeah. This does not feel good. Like there's nothing good about what is happening here. I think those are the only two that gave me like really deep feelings of anger. I didn't like Jace and Mel together, not as in like didn't like them in a relationship, but just like the things that would happen when they were together. Because again, like Alan said, he's just this like ditto that just becomes the shape of whatever is next to him. So all of Mel's opinions become his opinions, and then it's doubly annoying because I didn't want any of it to happen, and it was happening times two. So as a package deal, I disliked them.
I was just looking at the cast. So the mom is Ambessa, and that scene when she's like getting massaged in like the pool, not the pool, the bath, I guess. The cast for that character is just gorgeous, man. That's his character.
I'm very happy that you informed us of that.
It's a good fact to know.
I'll let Sean say his least favorite.
So I'm actually kind of surprised. I've been waiting. Like, surely you started to mention there at the end. I think Mel's the worst.
Mel is
Jace
bad.
is a little puppet, but she's the puppeteer, and she sucks. So I don't care for her. Boom.
I'm replacing Echo with Mel. I'm replacing Echo with Mel.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. I don't like her. I never liked her.
She sucks.
All right, now you can go.
It's okay. She's probably dead.
Good.
So, okay, I also hate Jace. We all know this. I just want to add, I started hating Jace almost immediately.
That is true. I can testify.
Yes, and
Because I was kind of
He's
like,
got a bad vibe.
He's got a dumb, punchable face.
I will tell you the first time that I'm like, dude, that's the stupidest thing is when, so his mom comes in when he's like on trial. And my memory's a little fuzzy. I didn't watch it 5 times like Alex, but
3 times.
She does something where she's like, oh, I promise he won't ever practice it again. I promise, or something like that. And then that's what helps him not get into more trouble. And then when he's with his mom later, when he's like, screw you, mom, like he's all upset at her. And I'm like, dude, you're her son. She doesn't want something bad to happen to you. What the heck? Like, maybe respect that your mom was doing whatever she could to help her son because you were technically doing things you weren't supposed to do. Anyway, that was my first time that I'm like, no. And then the Heimerdinger thing, I was just like, all right, that's it. This man officially for sure irredeemable for me. Like, because at least, okay, Silco is clearly a villain, but he's interesting and he's not like pretending at, well, you know, it's one of those like, he's kind of Joker-like where some people are like, actually, maybe secretly he's a hero, you know, whatever. He's interesting at least. Jace is not interesting. He's just obnoxious. And then the way that he constantly is distracted by Mel and is just like abandoning Victor, I'm like, buddy, your friend though. What about your friend? And he's always getting all the attention because he's like Mr. Sexy Guy. And I'm like, but Victor though, so on to favorite characters. I loved Victor so much. I loved Heimerdinger and I love Vi. And Alan and I have what did you say when we were chatting about the show that you can be a Caitlyn stan and I'll be the Vi stan?
Yeah, because I like Vi a lot. Way better after the time skip when she gets a better outfit and like better hair. I like her hair pre-time skip, but I like Vi like a lot. And Victor, that same student that was talking about Silco, same student was like, Victor's her favorite because again, oh, he's broken. I can love him. I'm like,
fix him.
You have problems. but
he has so much depth, and he has so much depth in quiet moments. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like just him in isolation doing what he can. I love him so much.
Murdering his assistant.
There's that line. I'm gonna mess it up. It's something like, in our attempt to do great, we failed to do good. And I'm just like, I love him.
I like
the line.
I
kind of love Silco. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of love Silco. I was sad that he died in this season.
I'm happy he's gone.
I mean, he's a terrible person, but yeah, he's definitely interesting and he's fun to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's definitely not secretly a good guy. He's awful.
I hate Silco.
Did your student think like, well, but like
she's like, well, his friend turned on him, like, and they were gonna do something together, and then they had a falling out, and it's like, no, like I guarantee that was Silco's fault.
Do you think that student had a falling out with one of their friends, so they're like, I relate?
This girl, she's the best, but I worry.
Hey, Alan, who's your favorite character?
Well, I really like Vander. Like I really liked Vander. I like what they did with Vander. Victor is definitely in the top. I liked Heimerdinger, which is surprising because I don't like those little tiny, fuzzy creature type things. Like when I first saw him, I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be annoying. But then I was like
the little fuzzy guy from Thundercats.
Snarf.
Thank you.
Yeah. But Caitlyn,
he's a Yordle, okay?
From the moment Caitlyn was introduced, I called because I messaged Sarah after I watched the first one. I was like, Jace's friend, and I didn't know what her name was, but I was like, I like Jace's friend, and then I learned it was Caitlyn, and now I am literally the campaign manager of #Caitlyn for Sheriff because I don't know, like of course I like the lawman character. Like it helps. Like she's British too, which is awesome. So I just really liked Caitlyn and her. You know, I mean, they're not making any new inroads with the naive do-gooder who is part of a corrupt system. I mean, that's not original, but I don't care because I liked Caitlyn and I liked the way they did it.
She to me, and Alex for sure, you'll have to say if you agree. I think she's like the Riza Hawkeye of the show.
She is
from like Full Metal, right?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, I was like, what?
I don't know if she's as cool.
She's
Hawkeye knows more what she's doing.
But Hawkeye from Full Metal and her they're like really similar characters. I feel like
it's been a long time since I watched Full Metal.
So. Hawkeye's just a little bit tougher. Caitlyn's like a little bit more naive.
Yeah, Hawkeye's quieter.
She's like if Hawkeye were younger.
But after season 1, I don't think Caitlyn's going to be as naive and delicate anymore.
I've seen some fan art of her that's interesting.
Fan art or skins in game?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I've seen some things of her.
Okay, let's put it this way. The majority of League of Legends skins, if it's a female character, there is probably more than one with gigantic boobage. And there's one of Caitlyn in like a sheriff's outfit and cop with handcuffs and bikini. Like there's all kinds of stuff. Like skins go crazy.
Alex is very familiar with all of these.
I played Caitlyn as my main for years.
Did you really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Still
anyway, I love Caitlyn. She's my favorite.
Caitlyn's awesome. They honestly made her kind of weak in the show because like she's a sharpshooter and she should be able to just like destroy people from long range. And when she's chasing Savika, when she like gets away from fighting Vi, she hits her like 3 times, but never actually like hits her. It's like she's like grazing her shoulder and like hitting her on the armor. I was like, Caitlyn would have just headshot her. Like that's not. Come on.
Savika has varying power levels. She's either useless or like an indestructible demigod.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Pretty like much. She fights Vi the first time and Vi like beats the crap out of her with her fist. Then Vi comes up with her like with her gauntlets and like suddenly now she can't even land a punch. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this power up?
Who's your favorite, Alex?
My favorite in this season was probably Vi. I really like Vi. I really like Vander for the time that we have him for. I mean, I enjoy Jinx just because she's a psychopath and it's fun to see her on screen just like being absolutely crazy. But like I've known most of the characters, from League forever. And I actually didn't love Jinx in the game for a long time, but now seeing her in this, it's cool seeing, and maybe it's like a little bit of a bias, but like seeing in-game like moves and abilities on screen in Arcane. So like in the finale, when she pulls out like her big rocket and shoots it because that's her ult in League of Legends, like it's just super cool seeing that like happen. So I really enjoyed her. I think she was really well done, and I didn't even know that Haley Steinfeld voiced Vi until I was like done with the season. I was like, that was her. That was surprising. I mean, honestly, I think I'm just kind of in line with everybody. Victor is pretty cool, but I'd say Vi is probably my number one. She was a lot of fun to follow, and then everybody else kind of like in the background. Like I'm looking at the other character list. There's just like a lot of characters that just have no screen time, so they're kind of useless. I didn't love Heimer just because he was kind of like pouty and pathetic at times. I felt bad for him, but I was also just like, yeah, whatever.
He's got a lot to contend with. There's a lot of nonsensical people on that council.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I think that was
Clockwork Collar. Who is that?
Was really cool. But I think it's a good representation of just like how like volatile like politics can be, because like they're sitting in this round table and it's like, here's this new young hotshot or whatever. It's just like, old man's got to go. And then he just like takes control of the room, even though he's being an idiot. And everyone's just like, all right, yeah, I vote. And then it's like, if somebody else came in and did the same thing, they'd probably be like, no, you're in charge now. Like, it was a good representation of that, I thought.
One, I think too, just Jace, they saw him as like, I mean, we can get things out of him because he is innovative, but he's also clueless and an idiot. So we can take advantage of this for our own games. And Mel was doing that the whole time. Anyway, I don't need to rant about Jace anymore. He's silly.
Yes, but it's fun. It's fun to rant about Jace. I guess I'm the only one who hasn't gone. Vi, I liked Vi before I came into the show, so she was pretty much set to be my favorite before I even started, and I really liked what they did with her character. I like her and Caitlyn as a combo, so as much as I dislike Jace and Mel, I like Caitlyn and Vi working together like equal but in the opposite direction. I did like Echo. I would like to see more of his character. I liked what he built up during the time that everything went to crap. Like, I liked that he was actually trying to make life better and being innovative and doing what he could in the background. And I liked that it seemed like him and Heimerdinger were going to become friends at the end. I would like to see where that goes in the future. But Vi and Caitlyn are definitely my favorites. And Victor. I really like Victor. I guess I won't say anything else, but I like Victor.
And then Sean.
Big Caitlyn fan, big Vi fan, not super original, big Victor fan. But I will say, not a big fan of her actions, but I do like Jinx as far as screen time goes. I mean, she's one of the more interesting characters. Alan disagrees, but I think you could make an argument for a child being pretty severely traumatized after murdering two of her closest friends. I mean, I don't look at that and be like, how dare she go to Silco? I'm like, I mean,
she has no one now.
She has nobody, and he's like the only adult who's nice to her. Like that, she's pretty.
He murdered her adopted father.
Yeah,
she doesn't know that.
Like,
she doesn't know that. Like he like. She was watching crap that was happening in the warehouse.
I mean, not really, though.
I think she only really sees... So she sees him fighting that other drugged up guy.
Yeah.
One of Silco's...
Who gave him the shine or whatever it is. Like,
but she's also young, though. I mean, she's not
She's not 5.
She's like 7.
Yeah.
She's pretty young.
No, she's at least 10, 11.
Let's look up.
I thought she was like 8 or something. Yeah.
I would have said 8 or 9, maybe.
Elle's looking it up. Elle's doing the Lord.
But I guess I don't fault her terribly for her outcome. And she's fun to watch. I mean, if she is like crazy, she's fun to watch.
Yeah.
The first thing that pops up is a question on Reddit. Usually if there's a set answer, it just immediately tells you.
Yeah. Best guess is 10 or 11.
I think part of my hatred for Jinx is that I really liked Powder. And so then Powder becomes whatever that is. But
Powder threw a grenade on her friends and murdered them.
Yes, but Powder was trying to help. I can understand where she's coming from. Not like, why are you leaving me? When she's literally trying to save someone who is dying, Jinx.
Well, I think for me, it's like she just killed her friends. Is there a chance that she thinks she's partially responsible for what's his name?
For Vander.
Yeah, Vander's death also. Like, does she think that was partially her fault?
And then regardless, there's no way she thinks Silco's a good guy. That's the problem. Is like
maybe she doesn't though. Because I mean, at that point though, it's like, okay, so she tried to be helpful, she got people killed, and the one person she thought would never push her away was her sister. And she tells her to F off. And then so she's completely broken at that point. Like, my friends are dead, Vander's dead, Vi just told me to leave.
Vi basically told her it was your fault.
And then she straight up said it was your fault.
Yeah.
And they called her a Jinx.
Emotions cool because no one stays upset for forever. So after she calms down, why does she not realize, like, oh wait, that was an overreaction?
Well, because Vi gets taken, so Vi never comes back.
Yeah, where is she supposed to go?
Vi gets taken and put in jail. Jinx gets picked up immediately by Silco. And then Silco...
She also has like this... I'm sure her sense of self is not the most stable. And she has just done the worst thing that you could possibly do, which is kill your friends that you care about. You have a very small pool of people that you love. And so maybe she thinks, I'm bad. They're bad. The bad people want me. So I guess I'll go be there and I'll be bad with them and they'll take care of me.
Kill Vander. Look, guys, I don't know why you're trying to convince me. The commenters on here are already they've already typed. They've already typed and told me how wrong I am. Like, there's already
You know, I want to say too, I don't know if at that age she can accurately even comprehend everything that just happened. Because when she runs over to Vi, her first thing is, "Did you see my little
I did it. I helped.
Yeah. I did it." And then Vi's like, "You just killed everybody." And then I don't know if in her mind she's like, "Well, Silco's bad, so I should stay away from," because she's little. And you know,
I think you're overestimating a 10-year-old's brain if that's how old she is.
He killed her adopted dad.
She doesn't know that.
She thought
the thing is, you guys are speculating that she doesn't know that. You have no.
She didn't. She murdered her friends right away. She ran, like Elle just said. If you go back and watch the scene, she's like giddy. She's like, "Did you see the lights? Like I did it."
The reason she put the bombs in there is because she saw that they were in danger by Silco. That's what I'm saying.
I think Vi was like, "I have to go." They took Vander, and then Jinx is Powder at the time is.
I'm talking about when she's the window. Like that's when she puts the bomb.
I know, but I think she only really sees Vander fighting that other guy, and then she like sends her little things in, and I think she's zeroing in on them because she's watching to see if it's gonna work with them, and then it does, but she gets pushed back in the explosion, and so I think she doesn't really fully comprehend everything that just happened exactly.
Guys, there are at least 3 people who have written a treatise by now and have told me that I'm a terrible person who has no compassion for anybody. We can just agree that I'm on an island alone.
Okay, so I'm
looking
at the scene right now. So when Jinx throws the monkey in, Vander is still tied to the chair and is being let out by the whoever cared. Who are the friends that die? Their names don't matter. But Vi's on the bridge getting slowly killed by the big like Hulk monster. So that's what she's trying to do is save Vi. Vander's like basically off to the side, like being rescued out of a chair. So she throws a grenade in, they all get out, and then it goes off. So she's just like, "See, I did it. I saved it. I killed the big bad guy." And then Vi's just like, "You literally just murdered everybody, you idiot."
But Vander is well aware of Silco, isn't he? Like, doesn't Vander know?
I don't think they ever filled Powder in on what was going on because
they kept her hidden from everything because she's a child. They were like, "Don't come with us. Stay here. Stay safe." Like, I don't think she knew anything.
She never look. You can shield your kids all you want, and there's still people doing shine out in the street.
That's not. But that's not where we're going.
You think she knows the intricacies
of
this?
You don't think that Vander's like, "Hey, this dude's producing." Look, guys.
I don't think that he's
to Powder. No,
I don't think he's talking about.
Do you see the explosion happening on my monitor right now? This is the grenade going off.
What if we just moved on to a new question?
I think also I just want to say too. I think that
you will answer for your sins.
When Silco comes over, I almost wonder if there's this aspect of like, oh, there's a grown up here to help me, because Vander did the same thing for her and Vi when they were little, and they lost everything. So it's like on repeat. We're like, oh, now this is my new dad almost.
Oh, that's very astute.
Go back and just watch this part of episode 3. Like Jinx Powder at the time, like she throws a grenade in and then she like turns away and like she sees nothing. She has no idea what happened.
I'm laughing because
I'm talking about the time she was there, the time she was at that window before she threw the grenade.
She's watching Vi fight. She's watching Vi fight everybody on the bridge.
How do you know she can't see anything else? Also, how does
Silco get behind
Vander on the bridge?
What?
He's on one side and then all of a sudden he's on the other side. How?
Who?
How did Silco get behind Vander to shank him?
He falls off at one point.
Silco was on one side of the bridge, and then he is all of a sudden on the opposite side of the bridge.
Alex is like, poor Alex is having to watch
editing error.
I have to laugh though, because for anybody, when people do eventually watch this video, often in our group chats, we have a joke that when we have a disagreeing opinion, we're like, you just need to read the book better, because we're usually talking about books.
Watch it again, but watch it correctly this time.
Alex, you almost told Alan, like, just go watch it better.
No, I was saying literally because he said, like, how do you know what she's looking at through the window? Because the only scenes that that they show us from her point of view is Vi getting choked, like on the bridge.
If I say I like Jinx, can we move to a new question? Like, I'll say that. Like, I don't have I don't have any integrity. I'll just cop to it.
No, goodness, it's okay that you don't like her. I just thought this was
the problem is it won't be to the comments. Like that's the problem. Like
you know,
it is to y'all.
I think there will be people that are like, finally, someone else who's not.
I'm sure there's tons of people that don't like Jinx.
There will be 3. Y'all can. I have a club T-shirt and like a little button you can put on your backpack.
I don't like Jinx as a person. I think she's an interesting character and was a fun character to follow in the show. I wouldn't support her like running for office.
Jinx for council season 2. Is that your season 2 wish, Alan?
She's a loose cannon. Yeah, please. Well, I mean, she just murdered the entire Senate, so she could just take over. Just put a crown on and be like, I run this now.
Well, because you mentioned that scene, most shocking moments in the show, and also this is hopefully satisfactory to Alan that we've segued into something else.
Thank goodness.
Alan, what was the most shocking moment, or one of the most shocking moments?
The most shocking moment was how argumentative my friends are with the fact that I don't like Jinx. That's this moment right here is the most
I don't let go of the question, Alan says. Then Alan brings
subverting expectations.
The most shocking moment, come back to me. I've forgotten. Wait.
Imagine Dragons literally being in the world.
Oh, yeah, the fact that one of the episode titles is another Imagine Dragons song, and it plays in the episode that it's
Everybody Wants to Be My Enemy. It's the theme song.
I thought there was a second one too.
Is there?
Yeah, I think there was a second one.
Maybe.
I think the most shocking moment for me was when, and I even knew it was coming. I was like, man, freaking Powder's gonna get all emified, and so I mean that like when everyone died, when she blows up her friends. That is probably the most shocking moment for me. I was like, "Oh, I like playing her."
Sorry to interject here, but we didn't know what we were getting into when we watched that show. We'd heard how great it was, and as we're watching it, we're like, "Dude, is she gonna accidentally kill them?" And then when they're dead, I think him especially, he's like, "Good Lord, like this got dark." And so I think that was probably the most shocking because you don't know, or at least I think a lot of us when we watched the show didn't know how far they were going to go with certain things. So I think that just it being the first one, there's definitely a few other times that are kind of shocking. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I know it's kind of goofy and other people probably saw it coming because Silco's like the big bad of the season. But when he's legit like, oh, he's dead, I was just like, oh, like, I don't know. It was a weird scene because you're like, I mean, he's terrible. But also, I wasn't quite expecting that.
I was also surprised they killed Silco. But then I realized Silco wasn't a game character, and I'm like, oh, okay, you can die.
Yeah, pretty much.
What about you, Alex?
I guess the first one was probably, which I had this sort of same reaction of like, oh, like they're just like acting like this in the show, was when the like enforcers got murdered by Silco. Because it was it kind of just caught me off guard how violent it was. Like the dude got like smashed against a building. I was like, holy shit. It caught me off guard. And then the finale for me, simply because like Jinx is doing her thing being crazy, like everybody's tied down and she kills Silco. And then I see her get the bazooka out, and I'm just like, oh god, are they actually doing this? And it just keeps getting like bigger, and she shoots it, and I was just like, oh wow, like she literally we're just going there. Like she's just gonna nuke the Capitol basically. And it was so like well edited to the music and like the glass breaking with like the shark face, like it was just so cool. But yeah, that moment I was just like, oh, okay. Like
even when she
there's no going back.
After the time skip when she kills people, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, because they're really pushing it. It's not just like, oh, she's poor. She's Jinx, or is she Powder? I don't know. I feel bad for like they really made you feel kind of bad for feeling bad for her.
Yeah.
I didn't feel bad for her.
Not for a second.
I just wanted Caitlyn to arrest her and it'd be done.
Oh dear. Those are definitely the most shocking moments. A very weird, like odd moment is when they decided to superimpose the scene of Jace and Mel over Victor's discovery so that all of those things are coming
the explosion happens.
Yes, at the same time. I was like,
that was probably one of my least favorite parts.
Yeah.
Another shocking moment is when Victor eats his assistant.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I completely spaced on that. I was like, oh no.
I was like, holy crap, she's just trying to come and tell Victor her story about lunch or her discovery or whatever. And
Forgot about
He
it.
does
I know.
feel bad for it afterwards. It's really sad.
What about you, Sean?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I have anything to add. I mean, the friends dying, I did not expect that show to go there because I was just like, oh, this is a whatever fun little show, and then I was like, oh shoot, his friends are dead. All right. Well.
Yeah, and I think this is another one that you can see coming for a while, but Heimerdinger, just them being like, yeah, you're out of here, it was kind of
You know what's funny is I was sad for him eventually, but for a while I was kind of like, you're being kind of a stick in the mud, man. Like we've got technology to figure out science, magic. Let's do it all. And then now I feel bad for him. But for a while I was like, get this guy out of here. We don't need this little puffball man.
Another
now.
Focus on moments most emotional. I don't know what it is, but when Victor is running, I almost started crying. It was just so well done, that moment. And there's a lot of sad moments in this show. There's a lot of like, oh man, this is so heartbreaking. But that one for me was the most, I would say.
For me, it was when Powder, it is right before she goes to help them, because usually in media, everyone, like, people get crying wrong. Like, that's not what people look like when they're that upset. I thought they did a brilliant job.
It was like the best ugly cry ever.
Yeah, of how ugly crying she was. And then she's screaming because she doesn't even know how to articulate, like, how upset she is. And that is so realistic. Like, maybe not everybody, but I know I've been there before in my life, to where you're just ugly crying and just like, you're so sad, you're angry. And I thought that was brilliantly done. And I was so sad for Powder right then. I'm like, I feel you, Powder. I feel you.
I mean, she really just should have been thinking about how evil Silco was, though, right?
I mean, when she figures out that her dad is dead, I would ask, like, why is my dad dead?
Maybe she does. Maybe he lies.
At some point, she realizes Silco is a drug lord.
Does she? I mean, she's kind of just like locked away.
Yes, she does. She's an enforcer for him. She blows up crap at his command.
Yeah, but she's a loose cannon. What is
Once she's Jinx, she 100% knows what's happening.
Do you guys have you ever watched BoJack Horseman? Sorry for the random. No. There's a part where they like state all the cliche lines that people say about. They're like the loose cannon. They go by their own rules. Like there's a whole group of them talking about it, and I feel like that's Powder / Jinx.
I love Powder. Poor Powder.
I will say I think it's kind of emotional when she's like officially I'm Jinx, in that moment. You're like, there's like, not for Alan, but for me there was like some hope that maybe her and Vi could
going back now.
It's sad when you see glimpses of her still that innocent child deep down that's just lost. And Vi's like trying to help her, but she's always convinced that like, oh, Vi's going to betray me. Everybody's going to betray me.
Yeah, I don't know why she didn't go back with Vi. Like, you're missing Vi so much. She's right there. Like, go back with her.
Can I give a different emotion?
Crazy.
Yes.
That's because your emotions have all been sad. But an emotion of like, the best way to put it is like, let's go, is when you first see Vi in the prison, you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go beat some people up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. That was a good.
Yeah. The end of that was episode 4 when you're like, oh, and yeah, you're right. That's a great one.
I was pretty sure that's who it was going to be, but even still seeing her, I'm like, get back in the show. We need you.
Also, when she beats the tar out of whatever Edith from Singing the Sands is.
Savika.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, however you pronounce it, I guess.
What about for you, Alex?
For what? Didn't I already go?
Did you say most emotional?
Oh, most emotional.
Whichever emotion.
Yeah, any
emotion. Pointed out.
I mean, probably was that?
Cat knocked something over.
Vander dying was pretty emotional, and then just honestly, just like the moment between Vi and Jinx. Well, one when they do the callback to Jinx, or Vi telling Jinx to like just light the flare and I'll find you, like, so her just standing in the middle of nowhere, like just waiting for Vi. That was really well done. And then when they do finally have that moment at the end where it's like Jinx is gone, like she's decided she's just going full evil and killing everybody. It's just like, oh well, there's no going back, and you know that they're gonna have to face off at some point again, because I don't know if like future seasons are gonna just continue this story or like bounce somewhere else and come back, but like they're gonna have to fight again at some point, because now it's like you can't really defend her anymore, and Caitlyn's definitely gonna go after her.
Yes,
because she already like wanted to. I mean,
headshot.
Okay, could you imagine if she just shoots Jinx in the head?
How shocking would that have been? If, like,
That might cause some relationship problems.
Yeah, anybody who is shipping Caitlyn and Vi, I think that would be a pretty big roadblock for that.
yeah, that would end that. No more calling her Cupcake.
Oh dear. Well, since Sean's the only person who has happy emotions, I'll talk about some more sad moments.
Oh.
The moment when Victor is clearly contemplating the end of his life is really sad as well, because I feel like he has a lot of legitimate internal conflict. Like there's a lot of angst in this show, but Victor's struggle seems very realistic, and it's really sad. So I found that moment to be really tough. And even though Jinx and Silco, neither one of them are my favorites, the moment where they have to say goodbye to each other is also very sad. They did a good job with that moment.
I know it's twisted and messed up, but when he says something along the lines when he's at the statue with Vander, like there is nothing like having a daughter. There's something like that, and you're just like, I don't know, in his own weird way, he kind of loved her, and you're just like, gosh darn it.
Can I give one more?
Yeah.
It just doesn't. I don't think he was lying. Like I do think he actually cared for her, but it's like, do we care? Because he's like evil and he's drugging people and trying to take over the world. Like he can care all day long, but he's also garbage.
Very true.
He does not have. He's not capable of those emotions.
He even says, but like as he's dying, he's like, I would have never given you up for them.
That's nice. You know what? Words cost nothing. He doesn't have to prove it. Cool. I'll say whatever I want on my deathbed. Be like, I was really the son of JFK. And, everyone will believe it.
Sean has one more.
So I think if I remember right, when Jinx and Echo fight on the bridge, there's like a moment where it shows them as like kids, right?
Yes.
And I thought that was really actually pretty heartbreaking, because I was like, man, they could still be innocent kids, but look what life handed to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. I was going to mention that scene I have a few other prompts, action scenes, art style, and music, because that scene is a culmination of all of those things. But also really quick, just because something Sarah said reminded me. So, and how does this compare to other fantasy shows, which the action scenes, art, and music can tie into this too. But, Sarah, you were saying that Victor has this internal conflict, and you see it so well. And it just reminded me a little bit. It's kind of the opposite of with Perrin from Wheel of Time, where they felt the need to show you his internal conflict because they didn't trust you to kind of see it. So they had to give you like a very obvious.
They also gave him no lines.
Yes. And so they just, I don't want to give spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched Wheel of Time. I just know some of us in this chat have. But in that way, it's just like I respected that this show trusted I don't want to say the intelligence of the audience.
They didn't treat you like you were stupid. They didn't have to spell everything out.
Yeah. I mean, you can see so much. And part of that is, I think, due to the art style and the music. I mean, I was kind of blown away with even the movement of characters. It's almost like better. I don't want to say that live action isn't as good, but it was almost better than an actor could have possibly. It was just as good as a real person doing a phenomenal performance with their motions and the way they move and everything, the expressions. They capture it so well. It might as well be like an Oscar winning actor. You know what I mean?
I thought the art style was brilliant. Like, it was gorgeous. It's kind of like Borderlands, like kind of that cell shaded Borderlands kind of look.
Yeah, in a way.
And the voice acting was tremendous.
So good.
Those voice actors were absolutely phenomenal. Because again, like one of my criticisms is the plot isn't all that original. Like, it's a cool world with cool lore, but you know, we've seen the story before. But they sold it. Like, they sold it, and the world was just great. And I think the problem, and like Alex, like you're saying, and like you guys said also, it's they just went with something instead of, and they gave it a personality. Like, Arcane has a personality. And the problem with fantasy adaptations is they are all so self-serious, and like they're under the weight of their own brooding. Like, they all just have to be like, oh, look at how epic this is going to be. And oh man. And you know, they're always trying to, because again, the fantasy crowd isn't enough. They have to try to mainstream everything. And this has been the problem with everybody. This has been the problem with every video game adaptation since the beginning of time. Resident Evil 1, I haven't seen the new one. Has anybody seen the new one? Because it takes place actually in the Bloody Spencer mansion, which is what the first Resident Evil
low budget one.
What?
The low budget movie that came out?
Yeah, one just came out that takes place in the Spencer mansion, which is what the first one should have done.
Yeah, but from what I understand, it actually has nothing to do with the game. It's basically another like, hey, we called it Resident Evil and we set it in the mansion, but it's not the game.
Well, that sucks. They keep removing what people like about the game. They remove the heart of the original and make it generic. And that's the problem with all of these fantasy adaptations and video game adaptations. And Arcane, whether you like it or not, it has an identity of its own. It has a personality. It has a heart. Now, you may not like that, but at least it is different than, you know, everybody's standing around looking pensive. So,
amen.
I think that you are hitting something that Sean and I are often saying, which obviously, whether you like other fantasy shows or not, it's subjective in the quality. Some people are going to love some of the other ones, some aren't. But I think there's this effort to create something with mass appeal. And in doing that, like you were saying, I think you kind of lose a distinct voice in something. You kind of have to take a chance. And Sean and I are always saying, just focus on writing a good story. And I think what Arcane did is it wrote a good story and it included things that are exciting for the game fans. Like I haven't watched them because I'm afraid of spoilers, but I've seen videos that are like all the Easter eggs for video game. And it's like little things like, I think the thumbnail shows there's some kind of like pastry on a windowsill or something like that. You know, I don't know even what that is in reference to. Maybe it's Vice. I don't know. But there's like little things for the fans to appreciate, but we think that they wrote a good story and they have an amazing art style. Now, to be fair, they had a tremendously large budget for this, but they used it. I mean, they could have made the same exact story with the art style of Castlevania, and it still would have been a great story. I might have been a little less impressed with the visuals, but I still would have loved it. But
it also would have failed without the great voice acting. Like, this could have been cheesy. So they did not skimp on some actual real talent in there, which pleases
because the characters are convincing.
I think a kind of goofy example of where I think just from my end, I'm like, wow, okay, is that they had the violinist Ray Chen involved. And I'm like, he's a very good violinist. And like, they not only included him, but the way they made it actually look like him. I was like, that's actually, I think, what made me even more interested in the show is because I had people talking about it. And then we had seen an ad pop up before something we were about to watch. And we're like, what is this? And we thought it looked really good. And then I saw, because I follow this violinist on Instagram, him being like, so cool being a part of Arcane. And I'm like, this guy too, like everybody. That's awesome. So,
I mean, the production value was just insane. It's they dedicated the time and the money necessary to actually give you a good product, where a lot of fantasy, whether it's shows or movies, shows now just try to be Game of Thrones. And they constantly market themselves as the next Game of Thrones, which is dumb because none of them will be, because that was like a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
But they also don't need to be. So like that's where like Lord of the Rings looks kind of bland. Wheel of Time was pretty bland. A lot of these shows just like they don't know what they want to be, and they try to please everybody, and then they just, instead of casting good actors and writing a good script and just giving you a good product, they're trying to do too many different things, and like video game movies especially just take the name of a game and then give you a dumb generic action movie
with some terms in it.
Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, Resident Evil,
Doom.
Uncharted. They're all just like
with The Rock.
They're just garbage. It's like they're
so,
not.
I have a question. And this is pure speculation. Do you think that they put so much more of their budget into their product rather than the marketing? Because I would be very curious to see the difference in percentage. Something like Witcher, when the Netflix show is coming out, I'm like, they had to have spent so much on the marketing, which I'm just talking out my butt. I don't know if that's true, but it felt like it because it was everywhere. And it worked. I mean, it's when it comes
they
on,
do the same
like
thing for movies, though, right? Like big blockbuster movies spend probably as whatever their movie budget is, probably equal to, if not more, for advertising.
But Arcane, they could rely on their fan base a little bit too. Like they could put all that money into making a good product because they had that base fandom that was already on the internet and was going to spread this around
and it's international
and gain the buzz, and then other people would come in, and because they had a good product, then they could pull those other fans.
League of Legends is massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's a good point.
What I hope is that now people will recognize that the thing that I'm most thankful for from Arcane is that this was an animated show that did well, because I feel like fantasy is missing the market. Like there's so many fantasy series that could be made into anime that would be phenomenal. And I feel like people have shied away from it because it's anime. And
yes, it would work better. You can do magic.
Yes, so much better. Yes.
Like the entire time I was reading Mistborn, I was like, this needs to be an anime.
Have you seen Attack on Titan? Like the movements of their EDMs that's basically Vin, like going through the buildings. I was like, this is Mistborn. As soon as I read it, I was like, this is exactly what this is. I messaged Patrick. I was like, why is this not an anime? And he's like, I know.
Because like now that I've seen this, when I think about other fantasy adaptations or potential ones, I know they're going to go live action. And then like I can already picture why it's going to be crap.
Yep.
Because they're going to fit it into like the structure of every other fantasy action set piece movie. And then it's just going to be like.
I want to mention too, another one that pulled from a video game that has done very well for itself is Castlevania. Because it's animated. And whether you like the show or not, I feel like phenomenal voice acting.
They have great voice acting.
Oh my gosh, are the voice actors great. And the art style is pretty simple, but it does the job. And even if you don't like the plot line, if you don't like the story, the stupid action scenes are so good and entertaining that you're just like, all right, this one vampire has like sunproof armor. Let's see her do work. And they just go all out and it's fun. But anywho, sorry. I feel kind of bad because before we started, we said we should talk about criticisms or wants for season 2 in the middle, and we did not.
Oops.
Alan, if you want to kick us off on that.
So my criticisms again is that like everyone was telling me it's the best thing that they've ever seen ever in their entire life, and I mean I don't agree with that. I think it was exceptional and one of the best fantasy adaptations for sure, and probably the best video game animation like by far. I'm mad that it's Riot because I hate Riot games, and I'm mad that it's freaking League of Legends because, as mentioned before, League of Legends people are mean, but. Otherwise, I don't have a ton of complaints other than what we spent 30 minutes arguing about. I really, really liked it. I think, I mean, it was a standard plot, but they pulled it off. It was so good. It was so good. I can't even remember any criticisms that I had past that, so it must not be important. Oh, I think they tried to do too much in the last episode. I think they tried to do way too much in the last episode, trying to set up season 2 or whatever. My biggest criticism is, and my brother and I have talked about this because he's a huge, League fan. They are going because we're not getting season 2 until 2023. They cannot survive with 2.5 years between each season if they're going to keep doing it. My brother seems to think that they are, after this season, they are going to branch it off into spinoff shows that take place in different parts of it, and they will have different teams. Like kind of like Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft.
So they can put it out annually.
Correct. Yeah. So that they can because that buzz like that will keep feeding. As long as it's high quality, people will keep watching because they've proof of concept it with this first season. And so in season 2, I want it to be Bilgewater, but it's not going to be.
It's going to be Noxious.
Yeah, I know.
They've introduced too much of it, right?
But Alex, she said, what do I want to see? I want to see Bilgewater.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see. I want Caitlyn to still be in it. I don't want them to abandon the Vi, Jinx, Caitlyn storyline. So I would like to see more Caitlyn and Vi. And I am eager to follow Victor's story. They're not going to leave it because Victor's storyline isn't done. So yeah, I hope that they don't. I hope that they stick to what's working. That they don't decide that all of a sudden, oh well, now we're popular. Now we need to start doing stuff that popular. No. Please keep your amazing voice actors. Please write a shocking story that is going to keep us engaged and make it beautiful. And the music, like you're talking about, Elle, like the music is excellent. So I have high hopes. I'm mad it's 2023. I gotta wait till then.
How about you, Alex?
I didn't really have that many criticisms watching it because the entire time I was just like so like pleasantly surprised by how competent and good it was, and it kept getting better. Because like the first episode, I was like, all right, cool, like this is good, and then it was like episode 2 and then 3 because it was like, you know, three arcs essentially. Like the finale to each act was like the best 3 episodes of the season. So I don't really have many criticisms, honestly. I love the art style. I love the cast, the acting, the composition of just like the music and the art style, and in the scenes, just like literally syncing music with certain like action pieces happening. Like all of it was just done really, really well. And I don't care that the story is somewhat generic because I've never cared about tropes as long as you do them well.
Right.
And there is a version of this that exists that's probably awful, but they knocked it out of the park. So my hopes for season 2 is that I'm kind of weary about what Alan's talking about, where if they branch off into like 3 different ones and try to get all these things going, that it might, like some of them are naturally just going to do worse, I feel, and then that could be bad overall. So what I want to see for season 2 is, because they've built up so much now for this storyline, is continue it while simultaneously doing another part of the world and introducing those characters and building toward a larger story, because there's clearly tons of stuff that they have to wrap up for this one. And there's a lot of stuff that they're hinting at bringing into it just with the other characters. But I want to see maybe a couple more episodes. Like if they're going to continue this storyline while introducing Noxious or Bilgewater, wherever else they go, they need a few more episodes, I feel. So like add one more act, make it like 12 episodes. And then I feel like you could split the time a little bit better. But I mean, I'm excited for it. I had no expectations going into this, and I was just like, holy crap, like this is actually really, really good. And then I was comparing it to other video game adaptations. I'm like, yeah, they're all crap. So this is really good. So I'm just looking forward to more of it and getting to, because there's like 150 characters now in League. So there's a ton that they could do. So that'll be cool. And I hope they get weird with it in a way, like introduce some of the more like abstract characters that aren't just humans, because for the most part, this was all variations of humans. And there's a ton, I mean, Heimer's a Yordle, but there's a ton of other races and like more alien kind of characters. And it would just be really cool to see how they would create a story around that.
The only complaint that I have, so my husband and I watched this together, and every time an Imagine Dragons song came on in the background when there was a really intense moment, he was like, I feel like I have switched from watching a really cool show to being like popped in the middle of an esports tournament. It was like very jarring for that to happen. I don't mind Imagine Dragons. Point,
my one criticism is literally having Imagine Dragons in the show. I was like, that's so corny. Yeah. But I actually love the theme song. But go ahead. Sorry.
The theme song, the theme song is not bad. I don't mind it. The one thing that worries me a little bit about what Alan said is, as someone who likes anime, I always get nervous when things do really well and then they decide that they want to pump out content sooner, because then there's usually a drop in quality, and I really don't want that to happen. So hopefully if they do decide to pick up the pace, that it won't sacrifice anything along the way, because they obviously put a lot of work into this initial season, and hopefully they'll keep that up. What I would like to see, as probably the only person, I don't know Elle and Sean as well. So I don't know how like romance heavy you guys are, but I personally was very invested in Vi and Caitlin as a romantic subplot.
We were too.
What?
So I would not like to see.
What?
Yeah.
I've already had to argue. I argued 20 minutes with 3 students in my classroom about this.
So what I would not like to see, because I know that this happens in the video game world.
Sarah,
there's a
Alan
lot
hates
of,
women and he hates love.
They're not. No. This is the Achilles and Patroclus argument all over again.
Alan, I don't know about you and your close friends, but I don't tenderly caress my friends on the cheek when we're like,
I'm
sitting
not
face
recalling
to
that
face.
at all. I'm waiting for Madeline Miller's new novel.
I'm not sure how close you are with your friends, but I maintain a little more.
Where is the
physical
caressing? I don't see that.
But what I don't want to happen is like
Never mind.
there can be a lot of there can be a lot of like baiting in that way where you give people enough of what you know a certain population that watches your show wants to have, so you can give them like just enough to feel like you're represented in that media, but then never carry it all the way through. And it can be risky because there's also a big portion of Riot's game players, maybe that's not what they are invested in terms of story. So I would like for it to be clear, if they are going to make them an epic bromance or an epic romance. I don't want to get like teased on something that could be like, yes, exactly.
Romance.
I personally would like it to be a romance, not a bromance.
I think that's a really good point because a lot of media gets accused of queer baiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I think
it easily could be if this is where you left it and you never went anywhere, because you could clearly tell based on this season that Caitlin wanted more, and you can kind of see the Vi was she straight up says it.
I do not clearly see this.
Alan, there is literally a scene where they're talking and Caitlin was just like, I thought we were at like more, and then Vi was just like, no, like we're too different, and like flips her hood up and walks away.
That could mean
watch
anything.
the show again.
I did. I know what.
Watch it better.
Watch better, Alan.
I should watch.
It's obvious to me that Caitlin thought they were going to be more, and Vi is just like, look, we could, but we're too different. You're from rich people land, and I'm a peasant in the slums. Like, we can't do this. But yeah, so I mean, if that's where they left it, that would kind of feel like we did our representation and then just dropped it. Yeah.
Well,
so I mean, I
down in the comments again, Elle, already like mad at me again.
I don't see people having issues with friendships where it's like, I mean, it can come up. It can be difficult in friendships when you come from very different backgrounds, because sometimes your friends are going to say something where you're like, no. But I don't see me ever being like, I mean, you grew up really rich, so I don't know if we can be friends. You know what I mean? Like, but if the backgrounds are too different, sometimes that can be difficult for a romantic relationship. So I'm just backing up what Alex said, that I think that's, I mean,
but also I think Vi is just kind of like, she's got her like, I'm a lone wolf and I do what I want to do, vibe. And also, I'm not trying to jump on the doggone Allen train here, but I thought it was pretty clear those are.
You know what? I think stuff is clear all the time. My students still fail the test. So,
I read a comic book once with my husband, Alan, where the two characters, they were best friends. They were both men. They kissed at the end. And at the end, I was like, did you see them getting together? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, Andrew, come on. Like, they kissed in the last chapter. And he was like, yeah, I guess they did. I'm going to read it, Alan, so you could tell me at the end if you think they're just really good friends.
I support Andrew. Andrew and I are on the same page.
Yeah. The Clueless page?
Not Clueless page. You are literally speculating. Every scene you have quoted ends with the M dash where they don't actually finish what they're saying.
The ellipses.
Yes, the ellipses.
I'll say I don't think I have any criticisms at all. To also what Alan said about it not being able to survive 2-year gaps. Yeah. That might be true, but I would wait 2 years between seasons if they're all going to be like this good.
I
would have no problem being like, yeah, give it to me whenever it's ready, rather than have like a subpar
I don't think it will
show.
maintain its mega hit status.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably true. Yeah,
I think only the diehards will hold out that long, because people move on and they get, something else will come along to distract people, et cetera, et cetera.
maybe, but it's
if
so
there's
easy
enough
to
marketing, because I would be interested to see the numbers between Witcher season 1 and 2, because that it wasn't supposed to be, but that ended up being
a couple of years,
like 2.5 years almost between the 2 seasons because of COVID and delays and all that. What?
I mean, there are more people in my daily life that know about the Witcher show than about Arcane. I think the Witcher is still more popular.
That's what I'm saying, though, is The Witcher spent a lot more probably in advertising. So I feel like if, because of how big of a hit Arcane was, I mean, Riot has the money, so they can do it. If they market the hell out of it for whatever season 2 and beyond, I feel like it could definitely keep its momentum.
But I think Netflix, I mean, I think Arcane's another accidental animated hit. Like, that's kind of how I felt about Castlevania too. Like, they kind of were like, yeah, let's see what happens. And like, people ended up liking it. I don't know if there was like a ton of marketing for Castlevania either.
Unless Netflix does this Netflix thing and cancels it after 3 seasons.
Oh my gosh, I would be furious.
Yeah.
I mean, this is for me, to answer the question. I pretty much only didn't like that one scene Sarah mentioned earlier where I was like, okay. And then I did, I laughed a little bit in that scene where Jace is like doing CrossFit with his science. And I laughed because I'm like, did he get buffer when he took his clothes off? Because I swear he's not quite this buff, but it just felt like, isn't Jace a hunk kind of a scene? But that's not even a criticism. It's just like, I just kind of giggled at that scene. The show is pretty close to perfect for me. I loved it. As far as season 2, if they do end up branching out, it almost will feel like, we have like the Defenders or the Avengers. We're getting all these, everybody comes together type of bigger picture type of stories. And I actually think it could be really cool if we do branch out and then we see eventually things coming together. And I could even see, even the way we've been debating characters here, it could be kind of cool to be like on your own team. You know what I mean? Like, depending on which characters go in which directions, and you're starting to figure out, oh, there's more to this over here, or look at this over here. And so you start to like certain characters over others. I think that could be kind of cool. And then you have the big, I could see them holding out on getting a Vi Jinx face off, saving that for like the emotional climactic moment at the end. For what I really want, because I loved everything about this. If I have one thing that I would like maybe a little more of, and I rarely say this, but I could go for more action scenes because the art style is so great. And when there were action scenes, it was kind of like when Sean was like, all right, let's go, that feeling. But we didn't get that many. Another shocking moment when Jace accidentally kills a kid. Whoops.
Yes.
Like,
and it's automatically Vi's fault.
And then him it happened, and he's like, I shouldn't have come here. And you're like, oh my gosh, Jace. Anyway, so I could use some more action scenes. I think the action scenes were great, and I would like more of them.
A Jace Vi fight would have been cool right then and there.
Yes.
Because he like pumps up the hammer and he's like, take the gloves off. She's just like
I was ready. I was like, punch his stupid face. I'm down for it. And then call him Cupcake as you stomp on him and walk away.
Yes.
Anyway, so that pretty much sums it up, unless there's anything else all of you would like to add, or if we need to disagree with Alan at all anymore.
I will be sending Alan compilation videos of Caitlin and Vi tonight. And he can educate himself.
I watched the show.
Did you?
Yes. Yes, I did. More recently than you, Sarah.
You mean at my
when you said that, I was like, Sarah, if that's your real name.
That's right. Christina laughed at that, Sean.
Okay, obviously we all have a good time messing with each other. Hopefully in the comments everybody recognizes that like we can all agree to disagree at times and be silly and fun about it. Nobody has to legitimately get angry at Alan, or nobody in support of Alan needs to be insulting to anyone who disagrees.
No, that one's okay. You can do that.
Please destroy Alan in the comments.
But this was really fun. I loved this show so much, and it's been so fun to talk about it. The last thing I'll say is that lovely Patrick was going to be here today, but he was sick, so he couldn't make it. But we'll have Patrick's channel linked down below, because if you haven't ever watched his channel, he is a lovely human being, and he also has fantastic book reviews. So I wanted to shout Patrick out really quick. Do any of you have any last words?
Alan doesn't know Celsius, so.
Oh, that's right, because he told
Patrick
us
said he had a fever. He was like, I don't know.
I don't know Celsius. I do not.
Well, I like that when
What
you
does
said
that
you had he was like, this is my temperature, and you're like, I don't know what that is. Instead of being like, instead of inferring like Patrick is sick, I should tell him, well, like
I said that in the end of the message. I said, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to assume that it means you're sick. So
you didn't have to state that. You could have just said like,
I have autism. I can't help what I say.
It just comes out.
It comes out typing.
The first thing I thought of is I can't make that conversion, Patrick. And
Alan did say, "Oh no,
so kind
I don't know what that
in
means, but I
Fahrenheit.
assume you have a fever."
See?
I would have just, if I really wanted, if it was really important to me to know the exact temperature, I would have just looked it up really quick. But also, do you think Patrick's like, I'm going to fool these Americans and I'm just going to say a temperature and they'll probably assume it's a fever? Maybe Patrick just wanted to play Horizon Forbidden West and was like, I'll just
Probably
tell
what
him.
happened. Really.
Look, I knew Patrick. I love Patrick, but if he was here, he would have piled on just with you three. Like it had been the same. He'd have been another person.
Alan, there's 4 of us.
Another reasonable person.
Sorry, there's 3 boxes. There have been 4 boxes.
Well, I had a good time. And I know that you actually did too, Alan. Even when we did our favorites video and you had to join in late, as soon as you joined in, you started just being like, what did Leanna say? Wisdom of crafts. Like, you just immediately started.
I was about to say, this is the opposite of having Alan and Leanna, where he just relentlessly goes in on Leanna. This is just us going in on Alan as payback.
That's pretty standard for my life, though. People are always piling on.
Or
bring it on.
downtrodden Alan.
I don't bring it on myself. I want to be left in peace. Acknowledged for my brilliant takes.
Yes, peaceful
someone playing a game
isolation
in
is
the
what I
background
think
now?
of.
Yeah,
Everybody can leave in the
What's
comments their interpretation of the scene where Powder releases her little bombs. Everybody can let us know how they interpret it.
Hey, Alan, I'm a pretty good yes man. Everything you said was right.
Thank you, Sean.
You did great.
Thank you, Sean. Have you ever wondered what it's like to drown?
Okay. Was that your coffee?
All of it.
Christina immediately was
All
just like,
over
I'll
the
get it.
floor.
I think that's
You
for
could
the
just tell.
best. That was a message. You don't need the
It
coffee
was
right
on the
now.
couch, and I got it on her.
Oh.
It's everywhere. Coffee everywhere.
Oh man.
You know what? We'll take this as a sign that we should end the broadcast. Thanks everybody for watching. Apologies
Alan, that's
to Christina for having to deal with
I was
the
gonna say, are you
coffee.
gonna switch cameras? Because that's not the camera you're on.
I know. I'm trying to. Hold on.
We're
Oh dear.
Oh my.
Oh, Alan.
That was my coffee.
As he makes no move to clean it up.
I'm cleaning as soon as we're off. As soon as we're off, I'm going right now. I'm gonna go clean.
okay. Thanks everybody for joining.